Alright guys, so here's the first step essentially of doing the party hats. So I've got my piece of foam here. It's the bigger size from the craft store. I believe it's 12 by 18, 12 by 17, 12 by 18. It's the bigger size, it's the common size that they sell. So I've got my foam here. What would have already been done is before this point of the process, I would have adhered the fabric to one side. Usually apply, sometimes the foam is not great, so I'll apply the fabric to the side that's uglier, essentially. So I have a cleaner side. I know people won't really see into the hat, but I like the best presentation possible. If they ever do, I don't want them to see some rip in it or something like that. So I like the nicer side to be on the inside. I also use a pen that is similar to the color of my foam, just so if they were to look in and see the marks, they wouldn't be too distinguished, but obviously you still want to see it. I've done it with dark pen before and you really don't notice it, but again, the quality, I just like a higher level of quality. And this is darkened, well, I'll use a darker color so you can actually see what I'm doing. Normally I would use that red, but we'll do purple so it stands out. You can see the marks I'm making. So I'm gonna start all the way in the corner, butting this up to the edge. Let me go back by saying these foam pieces are often a little weird. They're not exactly straight on the edges. Some are slightly bigger and slightly smaller. So this pattern might not fit exactly into the edge, but you just kind of want it to roughly fit. If it kind of overhangs a little bit, that's fine. A 1/16, 1/8 of an inch isn't gonna make a difference in the final hats, and nobody's gonna notice. So you just kind of roughly want to take it as far into the corner as you can. I'm going to trace it out here. So I've got my first one. I think you can see that. Looks like you can see that. And the next piece is going to go down here. So I line it up with the bottom here of the foam, and I keep pushing it back all the way, and you probably can't see this right now, but I have the edges meeting very slightly. So it doesn't go all the way to the edge, but that's fine. It fits on this section, so I'm just going to trace it out here. Alright, so you see how those butt up right there. So the next one I'm going to make is I'm going to do the same pattern again here, butting up this edge with this top edge of this other pattern. So we're essentially making a straight line kind of right down here. I'm going to line it up with the top as best as possible while also butting it up to the edge of this one. It's not perfectly aligned, but that's fine. It's very close. Go up here, across the top. All right. So you see we've got this straight edge. So this is going to get 3 of the large hats. Move to the small one. So this guy I'm going to face opposite of this one and fit into this little corner here. Lining him up with the bottom and lining him up as best I can with the edge of this guy. The reason I butt them up as much as possible is when you don't know you have a smaller piece of foam until you're toward the end and you realize all your pieces don't fit. So I cram them as close together as I can in the beginning and as close to the edges as possible in the beginning to give me as much space as possible. So next pattern is going to go down into this corner. So we've got 3 big ones, 2 small ones. The next guy, I'm forgetting how I do this one now. Okay, so this guy goes this way. So it's repeating this guy. We're just going straight up, lining up with the edge here, and butting up with this other this other large hat right here. And I've taken a lot of time figuring out how to make all these work. And this is the best I've been able to get it to where I pretty much almost every time get the full pieces in. As well as I've never been able to fit any more. Actually, I've turned them other ways and less fit. So this is the most I've been able to get on a piece. So you see we have 3 small ones here and a big one here. And we have this gap, which fits this guy perfectly, just like this, kind of like fanned. So he fits in there just fine. But a lot of the time what will happen is this last piece is the one that I notice won't fit. If that ever happens, like I said, if you overlap the other pieces a bit, try and overlap each one equally, so if you have to overcut one, you know, they're all kind of getting equal treatment. So like if you had to like kind of bump this up, I would try not to take out of these straight edges, because when you do fold your hat together, grab this guy. So when you would butt them up, if you were to cut an edge short, you would have a gap there. So really you want to try and butt these up to the round corner, because with your final product, if your edge isn't straight, you're not going to notice that under the boa. So if you ever have to like overlap the curved ends of them and kind of cheat them, that's probably the better thing to do, because if you kind of have to cut and take a nick out of it, or have to, what I usually do is if they're overlapping, I'll just kind of curve when I'm cutting. I curve a little sooner, so that I'm missing the other piece. But again, when you put them all together, it really doesn't make that big of a difference in the end if you're taking out of this bottom part, because it all gets covered, so you won't notice that. So this is the layout. So we've got big guy here, big guy here, big guy there, and then we've got these two. So you'll see essentially you've got this down here, and you've got this big one. So there's that one, there's this piece, they butt up like that, this one all the way into the corner, and then this last one filling this gap in right here. So that is the pattern. There are some other patterns you can get, but I guess it doesn't make a difference because I've never been able to get any more than 3 big ones and 4 small ones. So that's the pattern. And after this, you would just cut them all out.